So this is the brand new Tivo Stream 4K, not available in the UK, but through the magic of eBay and extortionate import fees, this is now in my hands. And let me just say right off the bat, this device really does have a lot of potential. For $50 or thereabouts, you are getting some fantastic hardware. Now, unfortunately, it is plagued with lots of little niggly issues, lots of bugs, which is why I cannot just say everybody go and buy this right now. What I can say straight away that if you are deciding between this and the Mi Box S, I'll definitely rather get this, and that's primarily because of the hardware. Now, if the question is, should I buy this versus the 4K Firestick, I'm hoping some of the stuff in this video will help you make up your mind. Now, I'm not going to waste any time with the unboxing. In fact, okay, so in the box, you'll get the Tivo Stream 4K, you'll get this remote control, you get the small power brick, instruction manual, and also a micro USB cable, and also a HDMI lead. Now we can see here that the Tivo Stream 4K uses a micro USB port for the power input. And over here we see a Type-C USB port. So as you know, a Type-C port really does open up so many possibilities of things that you can put in your Tivo device. So everything from network adapters to hubs to keyboards to mice, just endless possibilities, guys. However, as I found out with my testing, not everything's going to work straight away. Now, before I plug this in, let me just tell you now that I'm not going to spend too much time going through the setup process. What I do want to show you is things like, how do we sideload applications? Can we use a virtual mouse? Can we use USB storage? Can we use an Ethernet adapter and things like that? So the kind of stuff that you do on your Fire Stick, how do we do that on the Tivo Stream, and does that actually work properly? So let me now plug that in. Okay, so I've just plugged this into the front just so you guys can get a better view. Okay, so straight away, the first issue I had was with the actual remote control. So during the setup process, I had to firstly pair the remote control by pressing the Tivo key and the back button for a couple of seconds. Once the partnership was actually established, I'd press next a few times, and then I'd get the prompt again asking me, repair your remote control again. And that happened about 4 times just in the setup process. And looking online, I've seen other reports from people who have also experienced similar issues. So this does seem to be a common problem during the setup process. Now, the next issue I had was regarding registration. So before you can use your new Tivo 4K Stream, you have to register for a new Tivo account. Now, on the registration place, the only 2 countries you can enter for your details are USA and Canada. And as I'm in the UK, I couldn't use my own details to complete this registration. I had to borrow my friend's details in the States and register my account with those. So once all of that was done, I was prompted by Tivo Stream asking me what kind of movies, what kind of TV shows I'm interested in, and then based on that, it would then show me different recommendations. Now, before I get into all of that, as we can see here, this is running Android TV version 9. If I go over to settings, go to device preferences, go into about, scroll down, just to confirm that we are running Android version 9. If I back out of this and go into storage, and here we can just see, although we have 8 gigs of storage on the Tivo Stream, we only have 4.5 gigs available to use. But of course, guys, you can actually easily expand the storage, which I will be showing you in just a second, by plugging in a USB drive. Okay, let's back out of this. Let's press the home key. Now, one of the big selling things about this device is the Tivo Stream application. So if I open that up, and this I would describe as a content aggregator. So it goes to all of the different content providers and then brings all of that content into a single pane of glass or into a single screen. So I go on the left here, scroll down into settings, and if I go to my streaming services, here basically I can choose whichever service I'm currently subscribed to. So is it Sling, is it Netflix, Prime, Hulu, Disney Plus, and so on and so forth. Then depending on what you select here, that will then determine which of the content is actually aggregated for you. So if I back out of this, back again. So for example, if I go to movies, so we can see here, for example, this movie is available through Prime Video. This one is available through Prime Video and also Google Movies. And this one, for example, is only available on Netflix. So if I click on that, click on Netflix again, and we can see that takes us straight into Netflix. I can then click on play, and that starts playing absolutely fine. So let's back out of that. Let me press the Tivo button again. So that's, for example, in the movies. If I go to TV shows, and here we can just see it's doing the TV shows from the different content providers. Let's back out of that. And we also have a guide. So if I click on that, so this is now basically serving up internet-based content. And we now have access to all of these channels that we can access directly from the Tivo Stream 4K. Now, as I'm based in the UK, certain things may not be working for me, but they may work for you. So I tried this food channel, for example. We can see it says this is unavailable for me. If I back out of that, before I try this one over here, that works absolutely fine. I mean, it is all free content, which is ad supported. Okay, let's back out of that. Let me press the home key. Now, the next issue I noticed, as we know with official Android TV boxes, when you do double press the home key, you should see the recents of which applications are running in the background. This works fine on my Shield and also on the Mi box. However, on the Tivo Stream, if I double press the home key, it doesn't do anything. If I press and hold, we do get to see the apps library, but we don't see the recent applications. So that's just another thing that's not working out of the box, but I do hope they will be able to fix it with a software update. Now, I've done my own fix for this by using a button remapping application. So on my remote, if I double tap the skip button, 1, 2, we get to see the recent applications. So for example, we have these things running in the background. If I go over to Netflix, that takes me straight there. If I press the button once, and that takes me to the Sideloading launcher. So I'm not going to go into details on exactly how I did all these fixes in this video, but they will be coming up in upcoming videos. Okay, next up, can we sideload our own applications onto this device? And the quick answer to that is yes. So all you need to do is just download from the Play Store. Now, once you get this application, before you can start using the built-in browser, you do have to install a small plugin which was created by TroyPoint. So many thanks to him for that. Now, you can quickly install it by just typing in the address here, bit.ly/1TP for TroyPoint and then DL for download. Type that in, click on next. Now download the plugin directly onto your device. As soon as you get this plugin, click on install, give that a second, and then you'll be able to use the built-in browser. So the next time you go over to browser, you'll get access to a full browser that you can then use to download applications directly onto your device. Okay, let's back out of that. Now, the next issue I noticed, and I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but this seems to have permanent HDR mode activated. Now, the way I can just demonstrate that is if I go over to a different input, I'll just change this for a second, go to somewhere else, then go back into that. So we can see here, even on the normal home screen, it's actually pumping out HDR, and it really does make these colors just look a bit off to me. Now, HDR works great if the content actually supports it. For example, if I go to YouTube, of course, because this is a fully certified device, you will get YouTube in full 4K. So if I go over to my library, and let me just show you how great HDR looks on this device. And just look at that picture, guys. Honestly, I mean, HDR 4K just looks amazing on this device. I mean, that is just a phenomenal picture. So great, HDR is working great, looks amazing. But for some reason, even on the home screen, it's enabled. Now, we know on the 4K Firestick, in one of the options, you can actually say that the HDR is adaptive, which means for the normal screen, for the normal UI, it's not going to be enabled. But when you have the right content, like in Netflix or YouTube, if that does support HDR, it'll then activate that for you. But here, as we can see on the Tivo Stream 4K, it's even enabled here, guys, and it does look a little bit funny. Now, I've actually got a workaround to fix that issue, but I'm not going to focus on that in this video. I just want to show you guys what works out the box and what kind of issues you may expect to have. Now, one of the biggest issues with the 4K Firestick is the onboard storage, or the lack of it. Now, I have done some videos in the past showing you how you can expand the storage on the 4K Firestick. It's not a basic procedure. It does require multiple ADB commands, and it's just not going to be something that everybody's going to be able to do. Now, on this device, it's just super easy. All I need to do is just get a standard USB drive. I then get a small USB-A to Type-C adapter. Let me now plug them in. I now plug that into the USB Type-C port. Now, just a quick thing here, guys. I mean, I've tested about, I don't know, 7 different sticks, and some of them where it just doesn't like it actually causes the device to reboot. And that really is one of the most common problems on this device, is you will get random reboots if you keep unplugging and plugging things in. Okay, so I've now plugged in a USB drive. I'll go over to my settings. I'll go to device preferences. I'll go to storage. And there we can see, it can see my SanDisk. I click on that. And all I had to do was just say, format this drive as internal storage. As soon as I did that, I can then go to any application, like for example, Crossy Road. Let's go into that. We can see right now that's taking up 173 megs of internal storage. If I click on that, I select my SanDisk, And then within a couple of seconds, all of the required files for the application are now being migrated directly onto the USB drive. So that, I would say, is one of the biggest benefits of having this device versus a 4K Firestick, because lots of you do like to sideload applications, lots of you do like to download stuff, and the 4K Firestick just struggles with storage. Whereas on this device, as we saw, plug in your USB drive and you can now start migrating or installing stuff directly onto that. So, and that really is one of the biggest plus points of having this device versus the 4K Firestick. And now that the USB drive is plugged in, anything new that I install will automatically default to the USB drive. So if I quickly demonstrate that, if I open this up, look at this application over here, Red Bull 2, I click on install, give that a second, I can click on open, and of course it's working absolutely fine. If I back out of this, go to my applications, there's the game there. If I click on that, we can see straight away that automatically installed to the USB drive. So that really is a great feature of the Tivo Stream 4K. Okay, let's back out of that. Now in terms of performance around the UI and on the actual device, it really does feel very snappy to me. And as I said at the start of this video, this is definitely much faster than the Mi Box S. Now comparing this to the 4K Firestick and just forgetting all of the benchmarks, this definitely feels easily as snappy as just navigating around, clicking on things. It's very, very responsive, guys. Now where this actually beats the Firestick is with the RAM. Now as we know on the 4K Firestick, we only have 1.5 gigs of RAM, whereas this device has 2 gigs. Let me just open up a resource monitor. And look at that, guys, we have free 1 gig of memory on this device. I mean, that's something you're just never going to see on the 4K Firestick. Even if you follow some of my previous tutorials on how you can debloat the device, you're never going to get anywhere near that. I think the most I ever saw was around about 400 or 450 or something. But here we can see on the Tivo Stream 4K, we have 1 gig of free memory. And that really will help out your applications when you're trying to stream content without, any kind of buffering. So definitely happy with the free memory. The other thing that really impressed me about this device, guys, was the Wi-Fi speed. Now, if I back out of this, let me open up a speed test application. Now on my 4K Firestick, which is actually just under the table, the most speed I ever got with my internet was always around about 200 meg. I don't think I ever got more than 200 meg on the 4K Firestick. Now on this device, connecting to the same router, which is downstairs, let's see what kind of speeds I get. Let me bring up the virtual mouse. And now to do that, I'm going to use a Firestick remote control. So if I double press the play button, there's the virtual mouse there. Let's click on go. And let's see what kind of speeds we get on the Tivo Stream 4K. And just look at that, guys. We are easily pushing 200. Okay, so we're actually getting more than 300 megs. So clearly this is a bigger device. So I'm thinking maybe it has better aerial, better signal, wherever it is. That kind of speed I've never seen on the 4K Firestick. And just for my own sanity, just to make sure it wasn't a fluke or a one-off anomaly, let's click on go. And let's just see if we do consistently get more than 200 meg using the Tivo Stream 4K. And yes, we do, guys. So I definitely am happy with the Wi-Fi on this. Now you're probably thinking, what about Ethernet? So when I tested Ethernet on this device, yes, it worked sometimes, but over Ethernet, I never got more than, I think it was 180 meg. So either there's something limiting on the USB Type-C port, or maybe there's some other limitation on this device. So this I plugged into here, and this would then give me 3 USB 3 ports and also gigabit Ethernet. But again, guys, sometimes I'd plug this in, it wouldn't detect it. Other times it would work, but in terms of speed, I never got the full speed on this. So now I've seen online where other people have had more consistent results using a different Ugreen adapter, but that one only had a 100 meg port. And if I can get these kind of speeds on Wi-Fi, I don't want to get a different adapter that's only going to give me 100 meg. With a big thanks to all of my new members on my channel. Your support really does mean a lot. And if any of you guys want to sign up, I am doing a special promotion for the first 25 members of my channel, whereby all of you will be able to join my private chat group. And in this chat group, we can talk about stuff, we can provide support to each other, and we can also share our APKs. So some of those applications, some of those toolboxes I'm working on, you guys can get early access to them. So if that sounds of interest to you, do have a look out for that join button. Thank you. Okay, so wrapping this up, what are my thoughts on the Tivo Stream 4K? Well, if I had to summarize, I would say this device has great hardware, but unfortunately it's been let down by some poor software, or we could say that the software is still early release. Now to be fair, on the 4K Firestick, even the first generation of that had various bugs, various issues, which were then fixed with subsequent releases. As this device is still very, very new, I'm hoping most of these issues can be sorted out with a software update. Now, comparing that to the 4K Firestick, I would say this wins on some things and the 4K Firestick wins on some things. Now, what this wins on is firstly Android TV. Now, in my opinion, Android TV is better, or should we say less restrictive than Fire OS. Like for example, we saw how easy it is for us to expand internal storage by just using a thumb drive. Other things, for example, I can go into applications, go to all apps, and lots of the built-in bloatware, like for example this Facebook thing, I can click on that and just click on uninstall. So you really have a lot more control versus Fire OS. Even some of the built-in things like Google Play Movies or Play Games, although you can't uninstall them, you can with one click just disable them. So that kind of control where you can uninstall things or disable things directly from the UI is a big plus or a big win against Fire OS. The other place where this wins is the RAM. So this has 2 gigs versus the Firestick's 1.5 gigs. So in terms of general performance or how many applications you can simultaneously run, I would say this also has an upper hand versus the 4K Firestick. Now, it's not all win-win for the Tivo Stream because I would say the 4K Firestick is many steps ahead in terms of reliability and also consistent user experience. Now, what that means is on the 4K Firestick, I can pick up the remote control. It always works. I can navigate around the UI. I can open things. I mean, the device never really crashes and I just get a consistent user experience. Now, on this device, I mean, I could be using it. All of a sudden, the screen will just go black. Now, when it goes black, there's nothing I can do other than press either the Google Home menu and ask it to open the settings or just pull out the power cable. I mean, I don't know if that's an issue with the HDR or something else, but it's definitely something on this device which is causing the screen to go randomly black. And there's also many reports online about a HDMI CEC issue where this device just starts randomly sending signals, turning on your TV or turning on other devices. So again, I would say great hardware, great specs, great Wi-Fi, but unfortunately just let down by poor software. So I'm hoping they can add in all of those fixes and workarounds into a future software update. So that's all for this video, guys. Many thanks for watching. I do have a couple of other tutorials coming up for this device. Things like how you can change the launcher. So for example, you can press the home key and you'll now boot into a custom launcher. So lots of tutorials coming up, guys. Make sure you are subscribed. Do leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about this video and I'll hopefully catch up with you guys real soon. Thanks.